This show is brought to you by a man so successful, he got a podcast. This is Jeremy McComb, his podcast thing. Oh, Christ.
Hey, gang, welcome to the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. So nice to be back. Hope everybody's having a good week and getting ready to get into the weekend. Today, I'm going to take a little different approach to highlighting badasses who have overcome the most difficult circumstances in the most incredibly competitive industries or difficult situations. Today, I want to highlight you. I want to highlight each of us to ourselves and ask ourselves some raw, brutal reflections to get into our true self. Now, think about what you have already overcome. You've already overcome so much to get where you are right now. Think about the hardships you've endured, the competitors that you've blown past, or the odds that you've beat to get where you are today. But somehow, even after all that, we still want more. We still continually have that feeling. We still hide the pieces of ourselves that we don't really like dealing with. We keep them deep within and we hide it from ourselves, afraid of the ugly parts. We're all flawed and we're all broken in some way. And what's important is how we apply ourselves to getting to know that side, to accept ourselves and to fix those parts that remain scuffed. The broken bumpers, if you will, of the things that we have deep within us. And so I want to go back. This is a song I listen to about every 6 months. I find myself bringing this up on my Spotify search or something. But I go back to 1998. There's a Baz Luhrmann speech edited into a song that was played incessantly during graduation time on the radio. And the song was called "Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen." And it was one of the best things I'd ever heard. And if I'm being honest, like I said, I still listen to it a few times a year. But the sage advice in the song reaches out, pleading to our younger minds that just for whatever reason cannot grasp the knowledge being given to them until our youth is gone. And I think that's why we always get such that form of nostalgia. And so I'm going to take you through the lyrics of "Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen" and then kind of talk about a few ways that it affects us. And so the lyrics continue on with, "Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 98, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. And I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth." Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until it's faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry. But know that worrying is as ineffective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be the ones that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives, and some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40, and maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much, or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance. So are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it in every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but your own living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but a precious few you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, for as the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, and you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund, maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. Now, looking back on the advice from a summertime feel-good pop song, there's so much of it that resonates on the things that really truly give us freedom, focusing on the moment we're in, not anxiously awaiting some future ahead of us that isn't promised, but here in this moment. Being right here, being indifferent to things that make no difference. Meaning, if it's outside of our control, why are we going to waste our time worrying about it? And I try to practice a simple exercise in every situation or issue that arises in my daily life. And as something comes into view, it's concerning or needing my attention or just coming down the pipeline, I try to separate my life into two boxes, things I can control and things I cannot control. So as a situation arises, I ask, can I control this? If the answer is yes, then I don't worry about it because I can control it. I know that I can work the problem into not being a problem. If the answer is no, I can't control it, then I don't worry about it because worrying isn't going to give me some magic ability to control it suddenly. So it's out of my hands. I leave it. I discard it. I don't worry about things that are outside of the things that I can control. I do what I can when I need to, and the rest I allow for nature to work itself out. And it's just practicing that and getting that mindset to start changing things. I mean, if you think about how many times we have wasted days, sleepless nights, worrying about something that never even happened. Time is the only currency we truly have. And while the saying goes, life is too short, it's actually much the opposite. We're given ample time, but we're wasting it. We're using this window of time that we're privileged to have here on this planet on things we can't control. And Seneca the Younger is a famous Stoic philosopher whose letters have been published in a few different works, great books. One of the must-reads for me is called The Shortness of Life. Seneca has a famous quote that we are not given a short life, but we make it short. And we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. Now, are you in a relationship or a job that isn't right and you know it? Are you allowing other people to waste your time? I have. We've all been stuck in those. You wouldn't allow somebody to take your wallet and just throw your money out of the window of a moving car, but we continually allow people to do that with our time. And that's something you can never get back. And there are a few great lessons and exercises that we can practice from the letters of Seneca the Younger. First, choosing someone to aspire to be like, a fighter, a teacher, a parent, a work mentor, whoever it may be for you, is a watermark of where you're headed. In one of Seneca's letters to Lucilius, he urges him to choose a role model, to give him a standard to reach for. He said, the person we choose to emulate can provide us with the principles that will help us navigate the worst of times and circumstances, as well as standards that just daily you can hold yourself to. The next is being a master of your wealth and living with it and not being a slave to it. It's a bit of a paradox because we all need to make a living. We all need to take care of our families and to take care of the people that we love, to give ourselves a safe home, and we want to have reliable transportation and all of those things that we want. But Seneca warns not to fall into the trappings. And as he talks about wealth, he said, the wise man does not consider himself unworthy of any gifts from fortune's hands. He does not love wealth, but he would rather have it. He does not admit it into his heart, but into his home. And what wealth is his, he does not reject, but keeps, wishing it to supply greater scope for him to practice his virtue. And we need to consistently and constantly re-examine if we are trapped by the gifts of good fortune that we're too scared to lose? Because at that point, you become a prisoner of your own success. If your lifestyle is dependent on a certain amount of money a month, but your dream is to start your own company, which would bring you much larger financial risk, much less money to the table, at least in the beginning as things start to grow, you have to re-examine how you can get out of this cycle to get to your happiness. Not spending your life in something you hate to afford the new Range Rover. You become a slave to your car payment. You become a slave to the house you can't afford. And it's really focusing on not becoming a prisoner of something you don't enjoy for things you don't need. And finally, and most importantly, I talk about this all the time, fighting the ego. Our ego impedes us from learning. It stops progress in its tracks by making ourselves believe something isn't true, believing we know it all. If you aren't listening, you're not learning. And you can't listen if your ego tells you you already know it all. Making excuses for your shortcomings, blaming others, it all impedes us. We have to focus on taking responsibility, removing our ego, especially in a society that is all about inflating it. How many likes, comments, shares, followers, none of it matters because none of it is real. If you're pinning your self-worth on things outside of your control, how many likes your video got, how many comments you got, you're never going to be free and happy. And our culture now is constantly inflating everyone's egos to the point where people can only handle praise. Little by little, everybody starts to believe the hype. If you're told every day you're Superman, you're going to start to believe it. If a fighter is being told constantly, you're the greatest, no one can get you, no one can get you. And then what happens? You step in there and someone sleeps you on the mat. And then look into your own story. Look where ego got in your way. And going forward, force ourselves to understand where we are wasting the only real currency we'll ever own, which is this moment, our time. We have to cut the people and the things out of our lives that are wasting away our time, our present moment, the moments you could be growing, learning, reading, playing with your kids, working out, playing guitar, expanding your mind, instead of endlessly scrolling through clickbait bullshit social pages, arguing with people about politics or to wear a mask, to not wear a fucking mask. It's just, it's not only mindless, but it's non-productive. You could be doing so many other things. And outside of even that, learning the power of no. This is something I had a big problem with early on. Seneca wrote that we have laid waste to our own life when we weren't aware of what you're losing, how much time is wasted in pointless grief, foolish joy, greedless desire, and social amusements, how little of your own was left to you. It's not that we're given too little time to live, it's that we're wasting too much of it, saying yes to things we'd be better off politely declining, jumping on every opportunity as if we had an unlimited amount of time. We protect our money, we protect our reputations, we protect our property, but our time, we act like we have more than we need. We say that our families matter to us. We say that we want to be happy. We're looking forward to things slowing down, that we love peace and quiet. But our choices show a sadder truth to each of us. We're addicted to obligations. We lack the heart required to deliver bad news and use the dreaded words no or sorry, man, I can't do it. Or to leave people behind that aren't healthy for the peace of mind. To get the drama out of your life. You know, sometimes it's hard to walk away from people you love because it's just too much. It's too much drama. It's too much bullshit. You have to leave all that beside to get what we desire, which is peace, which is freedom. You're important. Your time is important. And it's just a little thought of the day here on the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. And speaking of time, I'm so honored, so humbled that you chose and you continue to choose to spend some of it with me. Hope you guys enjoyed it and going to continue bringing you the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. We've got some fun stuff coming up, some fun stuff in store. Keep reminding yourself of your worth. Demand that other people know your worth, and you can do it politely. But the power of no is such a thing. And these small changes in our mind make huge changes in our life. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be looking forward to talking to you guys next week right here on the 2Dumb2Quit podcast. If you're enjoying it, please share it with your friends. Share it around your socials. And you guys be safe out there. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you next week.